So please welcome Alex.
So, we're having fun yet? Yeah, great 2 days. Hello, Las Vegas. Yeah, I can't sing, otherwise I would do some show here, but you know, that's not my gig. I'm a techie. So, I'm here to share with you my story, my experience. I was lucky enough to be there in the beginning of the internet. I came as an immigrant to this country in 1988. You know, anyone here was born after 1988? Yeah. So, you know, I saw the beginning, the birth of the internet. I was really excited about it. Not as excited as I am about crypto. I'm telling you, the crypto wave is bigger than the internet wave. Decentralization is bigger than the internet. And what I'm doing now, money over IP, is actually like seeing a movie a second time. You know, you're like, you know what's going to happen because I lived through it with voice over IP. Voice over IP was a really crazy idea, right? The idea that some new network that didn't ever exist is going to somehow overtake all the phone companies, which were the most powerful companies in the world. The most profitable company in the world back then wasn't Apple, it was AT&T. AT&T was this dominant monolith who was like untouchable, just like the banks are today. And what we're seeing is the same skepticism. What I see with a lot of people is a lot of skepticism saying, well, I'm not a real believer, you know, coins are down 70, 80%, I'm not sure, you know, maybe I should cash out right now. Guess what? I've seen that movie. So what we have today is really three types of currencies, right? We have this digital asset umbrella. The dollar is a digital asset. Most currencies around the world are now digital assets. They're not really there. Like the United Kingdom, for example, passed a law making the pound a digital currency by law. Okay, so that's happening all over the world. But under that, we have cryptocurrencies, utility token, which is Celsius is, and then this weird thing called security token. Okay, it's not a security and it's not a token. So we're still trying to figure out what that is. But what I'm really here to talk to you about is this wave of innovation, a revolutionary wave of decentralization, right? Think of it as a tsunami. It's just a wave that's going to come and wash everything that already exists on land, okay? And what we have on land is this concentration, major concentration, 700 years of concentration that created some of the most profitable companies, some of the biggest companies that ever existed. Okay, Apple is bigger, more profitable than countries. There are many, many countries that are much smaller than Apple is, right? So today, if you think about our government, or you think about how things operate, they're mostly governed by what companies want, not by what people want. So when we're talking about taking back power, it's really not even from the government. It's really from corporations that dominate our lives, right? And all these companies basically give you a lot for free. Google, Facebook gives you a lot of stuff for free, but really they're extracting all the value out of it, right? And that system, right, does not work for 95% of the people on the planet, right? If you look at all the people on the planet, they're not part of the middle class. They don't have a chance of joining the middle class because if they do, if everybody joined the middle class, then that little triangle on the top, right? The rich, the extra rich, less than 1% of the people that own more than half of the wealth in the world will have to give up most of their wealth. For all of these billions of people to join, the other people have to give it up. And believe me, I'm part of the 1%. I'm not here to tell you, oh, I'm poor and I'm miserable and whatever. I'm part of the 1% who is willing to give it back. Okay? And Warren Buffett, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates all said the same thing publicly. We are willing to pay more taxes. We're willing to bring more people in. But what happens is that most of the laws today are written by corporations who have lobbyists who dictate what the laws are, and those laws are done in their best interest, not necessarily in what's good for you and me. So that little triangle that I'm talking about, right? We all work for a triangle, is already being eaten up by open source, by software. And now there's a giant wave of decentralization that's just going to gobble up anything that's left over there. Now, I know there's a lot of skeptics like Nouriel Roubini, who is pacing here back and forth, promising you that all of this is going to collapse and go down to zero. I know Nouriel, we're both from New York, right? So the only thing we agree on is we both breathe oxygen. Basically, everything else we disagree. How many of you saw the debate over there? All right. So for those who missed it, and for those who saw the debate, watch the original one. Just do a search on Google on Crypto Brawl, and you will see the original debate. Me and Nouriel going at it for a whole hour in the Milken Institute, where all the billions, all those guys in the pyramid were there paying $25,000 to come and see us. Each one of them paid $25,000. Okay? Crazy. You got it for what? For almost nothing. So, I wanted to share with you how I view decentralization, right? And what are the killer apps? What are those things? How many of you here are thinking of an ICO or raising money for an ICO, or already did an ICO? All right, a few. But basically, if you're trying to reinvent the whole world, right? If this tsunami is going to wash over everything, you need to reinvent everything, then what is going to be in the epicenter? What are the things that you can build that's going to be killer apps day one? So they have to have three elements to them. They have to, it's a DApp. I think it's a DApp. It's not a protocol. I wrote the VOIP protocol. Believe me, I understand protocols better than most people. All these people talking about protocols, okay, they couldn't even explain to you how these things work. Okay, I wrote one that is used by 1 billion people every day. Right? How many people did you meet that built something that is used by 1 billion people? Anyone here? Did you meet like the founders of Google or WhatsApp or any of those guys, the Alibaba guys? Okay, those are the things that are used by 1 billion people. Okay, so it's very rare. It's very hard to do. But I'm telling you that reinventing in a decentralized fashion, creating a DApp that has a secure and immutable ledger, that has exceptional token economics, if you can put all those three things together, you can create an app, something that will be used by 1 billion people. And if you don't know what these things are, take a picture, Google it. There's hundreds of things online, including lectures that I've done that explain in detail what are token economics, what is consensus, what is decentralization, right? These are all new words and new topics. These are not things that, even if you read about them a year ago, it doesn't mean the same thing today. So you have to continue educating yourself about what all these things mean. So to summarize all of this, I put it in a really simple formula. Anyone wants to come and help me explain this? Any physicist in the room? There was a guy here yesterday who was a theoretical physicist. No one, no volunteers. Come on, E equals MC squared. You studied it in high school, no? E stands for energy. All right, any other takers? E? Any other takers? What's E stands for? Speed of light. All right, what else? We're in a crypto conference. Come on, guys. E stands for Ethereum, guys. So how do we make Ethereum go up in value? Right? That's what we're all here for, right? We're here to decide, is it going up or is it going down? Should we buy more or should we sell what we have? How many people here hold Ethereum? What happened to all the people that don't hold Ethereum? I think Ethereum is an exceptional blockchain, okay? But for it to become what its full potential is, and I'm not talking about technical terms, I'm just talking about adoption. What do we need? What's the M stand for? What's the most important thing we need to make Ethereum worth $2,000 or $5,000 or $10,000? Scalability. What else? Mass. Yeah, human mass. What's human mass? Human mass, what does that stand for? Membership. Any community is comprised of membership, okay? If Costco had 10 members, would it work? Right? So think of Ethereum as like a Costco, right? Ethereum puts together the best of breed application, lets you choose, decide what inside Ethereum will work, what's not work. So you can buy the mothership, you can go and buy a Costco stock, and you can also get the toilet paper for half the price, right? So this is the same thing. This is an opportunity to participate in the mothership, right? Bitcoin and Ethereum are two different animals. Okay, Bitcoin is store of value. It's all about retaining the value. Ethereum is all about enabling dApps, like the diagram I had before. Okay, so what C stands for? We have two C's, C squared, right? So C, somebody else said speed of light. Yeah, that's pretty much what we need. But what C stands for here in the crypto world? Celsius. Community, very good, yes. But community credit, right? So the US economy runs on credit. The secret to our success, this country's success, compared to everybody else in the world, is that half of all the credit, even though we're like 4 or 5% of the population on the planet, we are 50% of all the credit on the planet. All of you have credit cards in your pocket. Guess what? The pyramid, the bottom of the pyramid, most of the people in the world do not have a credit card. They cannot just go and get a loan. They don't have a bank account, most of the people on the planet, or they don't have access to credit. So Nouriel was talking about how it's hackable and everybody can steal it and so on, so I added a slide. What's the number on the top? The 0x8. It's an Ethereum address. Yeah, very good. It's my address. Anyone wants to send me some money? What? Yes, you want my private address, I know. But the bottom number, what's the bottom number? It's a Google. It's a 1 with 100 zeros behind it. That's almost a Google, right? Google is actually a mathematical term. That's how many attempts you have to do, a computer would have to do to break this address. So we would basically, it would take several billion years for the computers today to break this address. That's how unhackable it is. So unless you leave your password, like if you left your credit card with your PIN on it, glued on it on the table, and people could steal your money, that's about how hard it is or easy it is to steal money from this account. Okay, so I promised to do some rebuttal here on Nouriel. So they cut my time by 20 minutes or whatever to, I guess they don't like my commentary. Or Nouriel paid them to cut me down. So infrastructure, right? We had 3 waves of innovation. We had the infrastructure wave, Ethereum is in there, right? Middleware wave, and then we have the dApps. Why am I a big believer that the dApps are the future of cryptocurrencies? Because I watched the movie with the internet. Who made all the money on the internet? The guy that wrote the VoIP protocol or the guy that created Google or Facebook or whatever other stuff my kids deal with every day, right? So I'm telling you, the money is not in protocols. The money is in dApps. So back to the fishies. So crypto today is about 260 billion, down from 500, right? But crypto is like a Pac-Man. Anyone here played Pac-Man? Old guys, pick up your hands, come on. So Pac-Man is still very hungry, and Pac-Man is just going to continue gobbling up assets, right? So as you see more and more dollars, when you see, again, Coinbase announcing 50,000 new users every day, blockchain announcing 40,000 users every day, right? All these things, all these people still coming in and buying coins, that tide is going to rise, and all the boats in that tide are going to rise. So as long as you keep those coins, you're going to be fine. Hodl, hodl, hodl. So who's the guy in the middle? Who's the Bitcoin guy? Splinter. No, it's Satoshi, man. Come on. So Satoshi showed us the way, right? And then we had all these kids show up and say, oh, okay, we learned from you, Satoshi. You're God. Okay, thank you very much. And now the kids have grown up. Now the kids are saying, thanks, Satoshi. We'll take it from here. Right? So no matter what blockchain you pick, right, some of them are going to be winners. Not all of them are going to be winners, but you got to spread your risk. You're putting all your bets in one bucket. Even Bitcoin is not going to be everything. So the biggest problem we do have, right, the biggest problem this industry has, is that we cannot cross the chasm. If you look at the chasm of adoption, right? The internet has this chasm of adoption. What was the chasm on the internet? Early adopters, right? They didn't know what to do with it. Then the Netscape browser comes in. 100 million people join the internet. 1995, boom, right? And then it was off to the races. The killer app was the Netscape browser, right? Even Netscape didn't figure that out. Okay? So here We have the Bitcoin, we have Ethereum, we took 2 steps. What's the next step? What is the application that's going to take us to the next level, that's going to break the chasm? Because with crypto, it's much harder because it's all financial services. And with financial services, you have much, much more regulation than doing, for example, voice over IP. There's almost no regulation to that. We think it's all about credit. We think it's all about issuing credit, right? So, do you want to work 9 to 5 or do you want to party 5 to 9? What do you think the slide was about? Right? So, talk about Celsius a little bit. So, Celsius gives you loans at 9%. You have crypto, you want dollar loans, 9%. That's half of what Salt and other people charge. You have coins and you don't need a loan. You can earn 5% interest. Does anyone pay you 5% interest on anything? Your bank? How about the guy that you're holding your coins with? Your exchange or your cold wallet or whatever. Anyone pays you 5%? So all we do is we deploy coins at 9% and we pay you back 5% out of that. Does that sound familiar? Wasn't the bank who was supposed to do that for us? Jesus, why can't we create our own bank, a crypto bank? Well, that's what we did. Okay, so you can borrow at 9 and get paid 5. Pretty simple, isn't it? Now people are saying, I see them people in the back saying, Jesus, why didn't I come up with this idea? Well, I did. I came up with it, $52 million in ICO 4 months ago. We launched the app a few weeks ago. We have 25,000 users. Our goal is 100 million. 100 million. That's what we're here for, right? Bring the next 100 million people into crypto. So I mentioned that before. Forbes did a survey. They looked at all the different blockchain startups. We were named number 3 most promising startup out of thousands of applicants, right? So, but if you don't believe any of that, or any of these people, or you don't think I invented VoIP, we brought you the Godfather. Okay? Anyone here loves the Godfather movie? So Satoshi, on the left side is Satoshi's white paper. Who here read the white paper or just heard of Satoshi? If you did not read the white paper, then we gave you an excerpt here, right? Satoshi talks 3 times about a guy called Scott Stornetta. Anyone here met or spoke to Scott Stornetta? You didn't, because Scott is not part of Bitcoin or Ethereum or any ICO. Scott sat on the sidelines since 1991. He invented the blockchain in 1991. And he sat on the sidelines, and he just decided that he's joining Celsius, okay? So the guy that Satoshi calls God decided to pick 1 project out of 3,000. We issued a press release today, so if you don't believe me, you can Google. I'm sure if it shows up on Forbes or whatever, on YouTube, then it's real. But if Alex said that, yeah, that's what my kids think, at least. So, what are all these people? What's in common with all these people? Do you recognize any of them besides Scott there? The guy on the left, on the top left, Eric Lee, he's the inventor, the founder of LinkedIn, right? All these people are using crypto today. They're all using Celsius. They all either partner with us or give us coins or taking loans with us and so on. The point is, we have a lot of people who are coming in. They all want to be part of that mission to bring the next 100 million people into crypto. Because if we don't do that, our coins will go down in value. I guarantee you that. So I'm running out of time. I'm going to skip a few slides, especially my vanity slides. So a few things to remember when you're investing in crypto. These are the most important things. You have to look at the team. You have to see if they're really using a blockchain. Most of these projects, if you rip out the blockchain from the project, everything keeps going. You're like, why do you need a blockchain? If you don't need a blockchain, then that's not a real project, right? Global consensus, again, something you have to read more about. Who are the other investors, and do they have token economics? P2P, everybody here knows what P2P is, right? No, you don't, okay? In the crypto world, P2P stands for power to the people, not peer-to-peer. Okay, that's how a system works. If you understand how this works, then you can come and work for me, because most people don't understand how this works. So 3 things to remember. VoIP to MOIP. If you believe in the VoIP revolution, you should believe in the MOIP revolution, because the 2 are like mirrors of the same thing. E equals MC squared. You want your Ether to be valuable, you got to get a lot of credit and a lot of members and fuel the fire. And number 3 is power to the people. This is all about the people. If the project does not start and end with people, then you have the wrong project. Don't invest in it. Sell what you have and find something that does. And this is our killer slide. You know who all these people are? These are all employees of Celsius, and we have more women than men in Celsius. That's the only company in the crypto world that has more women than men. And we have 35 employees in total. A few of them are here. Thank you, and I'll take a few questions if you're brave enough to say something. Here we go. Who goes first? Who goes last? The clock is ticking. Questions?
White shirt up front.
Huh?
The gentleman in the white shirt.
Here you go. Ready? All right.
Okay, I really like a lot of what you're saying. What I'm concerned about is you had that slide of the gap.
The chasm, crossing the
right,
chasm.
the
It's a
chasm.
book by Jeffrey Moore, in which he's talking about voice over IP and how that
What
got to a billion
happens
people.
if what you're talking about with the technology, right? There's a great amount of startups who are coming out and using the crypto world to raise capital. But what happens when the technology behind it is basically usurped by the larger corporations and used by them to crush out the small man?
Yes, so the large corporations, especially banks, are not using crypto. They're using the blockchain. So a private blockchain and a public blockchain is like two completely different worlds. So I'm not concerned about JP Morgan, for example, stealing Ethereum, copying it, calling it something else, and then going to all the banks and saying, hey, forget about all these fintech guys and crypto guys, we're going to do it ourselves. What I am pissed about is that JP Morgan, Citibank, and Bank of America blocked all of us from using our own credit cards from buying crypto. Okay, that should be illegal. Okay? So while they are bombing us, they're stealing our Mona Lisa, you know? So it's like, damn, man. I mean, you know, we should be doing more about that. Next question. Here, got a guy right there. The best dressed guy in the room, so.
Thank you. So how do you see all this panning out? The legacy cabal, whatever we want to call them, the financial powers that shouldn't be, they're not going to roll over and die. So what do you see that process looking like?
So in 1995, I went to AT&T and I faced them. I showed them a VoIP platform. And they were like, oh, this is brilliant, but we're never going to use this. We're going to die and roll over before we use this, all right? And 5 years later, in 2000, AT&T was my largest customer. And I took a company public in 2004. It was worth $1 billion. So they all say that in the beginning. But when they see all those revenues leave them and all of the pressure that goes against it, they have to join. That's why you're seeing, again, Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan screaming murder about how bad crypto is and everything else, but at the same time, Fidelity announcing that they're going to do Bitcoin and everything else, right? So one by one, they're going to fall over. In the beginning, they fall slowly, but then it's like a flood, right? And like the thing that has to happen, the thing that's going to make all these cryptocurrencies extremely valuable is a financial disaster on the dollar side, right? Stocks, bonds, real estate are at all-time highs, okay? So something bad is going to happen soon. I can promise you that, okay? And when that happens, things are going to start flowing away from dollar-denominated assets and into crypto-denominated assets. You just got to be there. If you're going to join when the thing already happens, guess what? You're going to miss it, okay? The best people in the world can't time this. The guy behind you has.
We actually need to wrap up the questions if we can.
All right, one more question for the guy. He's been patiently waiting.
Hello. Thanks for taking on Rabini. You should have a comedian to follow the whole thing after. Good. Okay. Now, the big question is this, okay? Ultimate disruptor. What happened when the bank come knocking to buy your company?
I'm not going to be a sellout, okay? I'm willing to sign it right now. If you guys want me, for each one of you, I'll put a bet that I'm not selling out. If I sell out, I'll owe you like 100 Bitcoin. How about that?
Hey, we're taking that to heart, baby.
I already made my money, all right? That's why
Has
I have
nothing
no
to do with
problem
money.
saying bad
Has to do
things about all the bad guys like Binance and all the other people who are here to steal money from us, including the banks.
It's not about money, man. It's about love.
I
Okay?
have 6 kids. Believe me, I know what love is.
No, you got 6 kids. Not that you got a choice on that. They might say,
Look,
"Daddy," you know.
if I have not shown passion here in the last 2 days, there's nothing else I can do.
You did a great
man.
job. You took on one of the smartest guys supposed to be in the business.
That's only round 2, man. That's only round 2. There's a few more rounds coming.
You mean
Thanks, everybody. I'll see you outside. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex.